I could cook good food, but I didn't know how to cook great food. Being on that show taught me how to cook great food. It taught me how to teach myself the things that I needed to learn, the things I needed to look for to become better.
I really connect with that because with my parents, my dad, he was the chef, man. He was the cook.
Okay.
And he was a Holly Springs, Mississippi guy, but he could cook. He actually taught my mom how to cook.
He came home from school, he was in the living room with the stuff, and he was like, "So you ready for tonight?" And I was like, "What's tonight?" It's fifth grade. I think it was probably the last day of school. Actually, I'm about to go hang out with my friends, and he was like, "Yeah, you got a DJ tonight. I got a date." And so I got thrown into it last second. He didn't tell me this when I first started, but when he retired from radio, he's like, "The reason I brought you along was so that I could pass the torch to somebody else. I needed to find somebody."
Welcome back to the Content Parlor. I'm your co-host, Dion. You can find me on social media at dion.api. Gathered here today with special guest, savory guest today. I'm sure you guys will be in for a real treat.
Yeah.
But co-host, glad to have you back.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Teddy Young.
At the fresh locks.
Yeah.
Fresh
last time I had to have a hat on, but the hat was fresh.
Yeah.
But I got the barrel to it.
Barrel rolls. I feel
Watch out.
I did this the second time I've done it. I like it.
Got some link. You gotta have link to do that.
Yeah. But really excited about this episode. Been familiar with Tay for a while, man, and the longer I know him, the more I find out about him. So it's gonna be I only knew one thing in the beginning, but then it's like, oh wow.
Well, we're here today. We're gonna unpack it all. But before we have this person introduce himself, I don't want to say his name. I don't want to spoil it. But before we have him introduce himself, the Content Parlor is the social club for content creators. We're based right here in Omaha, Nebraska. We're actually filming in the Content Parlor studio. The studio is available for rent. All the equipment that you see, the microphones, the lenses, the lighting, it's all available for you to help tell your story as well. You can follow us on social media at really any social media platform at this point at Content Parlor. And if you want to tap in on the studio, Content Parlor Studio. On YouTube, make sure that you hit the bell notification so you get the latest updates. Also at Content Parlor on YouTube. One last thing that's super duper critical. We're planning a conference for content creators. It's called the Parlor Awards. It's going to be coming later this year, and it will be an annual conference. We want to celebrate and give a platform for all the brilliant content creators out there. I don't even know all of them, honestly.
No. Yeah. I learn about new ones every week.
Yep.
Facts. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this episode. You got the locks. You got the glasses.
Yeah, the locks and the glasses, yes, sir.
What's your name and what do you do?
All right. Well, I'm Tay Westberry. I'm a chef, a DJ, a content creator, and a man of God.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right here on the Abide campus. All right.
Yep.
Perfect. So when it comes to just your brand as a platform, you've built up somewhat of a following. How can people tap in with you? How can they get connected after the show?
No doubt. So really, you can find me by searching my first and last name, generally anywhere. Tay Westberry, Tay space West like the direction, berry like the fruit, Berry. Otherwise, Omaha Eats on TikTok, not just Omaha Eats on Instagram or Facebook and YouTube. So I'm pretty easy to find. I tell people all the time, that's why I don't go around Omaha acting a fool, because I'm very, very easy to find.
That's what's up. Well, thanks for joining the show.
Thank you for having me.
Looking forward to asking some questions. How did you get into cooking? You got some fruit in your last name, so it's just food is just in you from the jump.
That's what they say, man. If it's not in you, it's on you. If it's on you, you ain't doing it. But at a young age, man, my mom obviously was the one that always cooked the meals for my brothers and sisters. Mm-hmm. And, she did her best. She did her thing. Like, she had her dishes that were really good, and then she had her dishes that were not so great. But when my dad would cook for us, it was more like the holidays and stuff. And so he would get in there and his dishes always just, he would put so much finesse into whatever he was doing. And I was like, I want my food to taste like this all the time. So at a very young age, I was introduced to what good food is, what bad food, well, not bad food, but food that wasn't as great, and then food that was really, really good.
Not from your mom, from those bad restaurants. Mom's food was perfect.
Let me just put that out there. I enjoyed everything my mom did make for us. But so yeah, I was like, I just enjoyed food at a very young age, man. I wanted to learn how to cook great food, you know? And then I also saw how it brought people together. My dad would be the one that would cook on the holidays, and everybody would come through and be like, yeah, like your sweet potato pie is better than anybody else I've ever had. You know, this prime rib is off the chain. And so I'm like, I want to give people that feeling all the time, any chance that I had.
Right on. Yeah, that really I really connect with that because with my parents, my dad, he was the chef, man. He was the cook.
Okay.
And yeah, he was dope on that grill,
Yeah.
the dressing, greens, everything. You know, he was a Holly Springs, Mississippi
go.
Mississippi
that's
guy,
soul
but
food.
he could cook. He actually taught my mom how to cook.
Dang.
There you go.
Leadership right there.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you started cooking from a young age, but now you have somewhat of a niche, right? Obviously, you can cook everything, but you kind of found a focus. How did you find like that specialty, that area where you just really cook your best dishes and people just come back over and over again?
You know, I get asked the question all the time, what is your favorite thing to cook? And I return the question and say, what's your favorite thing to eat? Because generally, I don't have one thing that I'm like, I'll cook this better than anybody else. Most of the time, I'll cook anything better than anybody else.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
so
Okay.
I tell people, because what I do, I've done so much research about where ingredients have came from and how they were used traditionally and their original origin, that I have a good base. And I tell people all the time, like, if you want to do something, find out what the base of it is. Don't start at the top and be like, oh, well, this is what the dish looked like at this restaurant. That's great. But like, where did that dish come from? How was it conceptualized? And so I tell people all the time, like, if you like lasagna, I could probably make you a lasagna better than anybody else because I understand, you know, how to use a bechamel and like how to dress a bechamel, and that being, you know, you can use nutmeg in it, and then you can use fresh nutmeg. The fresh nutmeg is going to have such a fuller flavor than using the ground nutmeg. And most people don't even know you use bechamel in a lasagna, let alone using fresh nutmeg in it.
Never heard
I
of it.
didn't know you put nutmeg in it.
Yeah. And people look at it like nutmeg. I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
nutmeg, that element. But there's this book that I've really studied. It's called The Flavor Matrix. And it breaks down how different elements and dishes come together and things that you wouldn't think of. So they can say almond. Okay, almond has these notes in it. And if you mix almond with X, Y, and Z, they come together very nice. And so, I definitely just learned how to blend flavors on like a molecular level almost.
Right on. So then let's talk about, was it Master Chef? So you know we know you nice with it, and that skill set landed you on Master Chef. Like, tell us about that experience and how that even happened.
I'll be honest with you. Before I was on MasterChef, I was not cooking at this level. I would have never called myself a chef.
Wow.
I could cook good food, but I didn't know how to cook great food. Being on that show taught me how to cook great food. It taught me how to teach myself to the things that I needed to learn, the things I needed to look for to become better in the kitchen, to, you know, wear the tag as a chef. And so it started out, my wife now, girlfriend then, was like, hey, you cook good food. Here's this opportunity. You should jump on
Dang, just like
MasterChef.
that. She's like, yeah, you should be on the show.
Yeah. Well, even before that, though, like, my mom was always saying, like, you're going to be the first black iron chef. We used to watch cooking shows like that growing up.
That's dope.
And so my mom was
Sewing
always
that
encouraging
into you.
me, you know, like, you should get on a TV show and cook. You should get on a TV show and cook. And then it was like, you're entertaining. You should, like, she wanted me to be a hibachi chef at like Genji or something. She was like, and then so when my mom and her got together, they were like, Tay, apply for Master Chef. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do it because I'm tired of hearing y'all ask me and tell me. And so I did it, and it was crazy because I applied online. Like, normally they have castings in major cities around the United States where you go and show up in person, but the castings were always over weekends. On weekends, I was DJing weddings, so I could never step away. And so I just applied online, and for whatever reason, like, I don't even think the application went through, but my wife and my mom then resubmitted it again, And yeah, I got the email back saying, hey, we're interested in jumping on a Zoom call with you for the opportunity to be on MasterChef.
Whoa.
Wow. And you weren't just on it, but you were top 50. You made it to the top 15 or top 10? Top 10.
Yep.
So
what sucks, man? I hate saying top 10 because I'm like, you make top 10 and then get eliminated. I'm like, dang, you open the door and then it got closed back. You know?
I just think of that Key and Peele episode where the chef says he's cooking great and then eliminates him and then tells him he's great again. We'll pop it up.
Yeah,
but
I know what you're talking about.
it must have felt like that. Like, it's this huge compliment to be top 10, but at the same time, you want to finish at the very top.
Yeah. No, for sure. No, like it's like, you see the top of Mount Everest and you're I don't know however many feet away, and then an avalanche comes and you're like, dang, I gotta go all the way back to the bottom and restart, yo.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's solid though. Yeah. So we're not gonna skip over this. A DJ too.
Yes.
A DJ too?
Yep.
I mean, what can't this guy do? Okay, tell me a little bit about the DJ thing.
Yeah, so
DJ.
I started DJing when I was 12 years old, and it was always in me. I'll say that. Well, like once again, like cooking, it was always in me. My dad was a DJ. I never actually saw him DJ. He was a DJ in his younger days, but we always had loud music in our house growing up. Like we used to be scared of thunderstorms, my brothers and sisters, and so my dad would play the music so loud you couldn't even hear the thunder going on outside. I mean, you could be in the driveway honking your horn, and we would have no idea you were out there, phone ringing, anything. And so we grew up around loud music, and grew up around like old school loud music, and so that bass knowledge just gave me a good, as I said, bass. Like I attribute all my success to having a good bass. It gave me, while the other kids were listening to Nelly and stuff like that, I was listening to George Clinton and Casey and the Sunshine Band, and like I knew the older generation's music at a very young age, which gave me a very old soul. And so my dad had a father-daughter dance for Girl Scouts with my sister, and the DJ had backed out on him last second, and they had asked my dad to DJ. If you wanted to have a party, he was gonna call my dad.
Okay.
And so they asked him to DJ, and he went to Sam Goody and purchased a little 2-channel mixer.
Oh man, Sam Goody.
Right?
Dang, I heard that in a long time.
And so, he purchased this mixer, and he was in our living room, just mixing the songs back and forth. And I was just watching him. He was like, "You want me to show you?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so, 6th grade, Friday night, I came home from school, and, he was in the living room with the stuff, and he was like, "So you ready for tonight?" And I was like, "What's tonight?" It's 6th grade. I think it was probably the last day of school, actually. I'm about to go hang out with my friends. And he was like, "Yeah, you got a DJ tonight. I got a date." And so I got thrown into it last second.
Dang.
And I went out there with a DVD player and a 5-disc CD player and this 2-channel mixer and a wireless and a handheld microphone. And I went and burned some CDs and just went out there and threw a party for these kids.
Wow.
And that was my first event I ever did. And I was hooked. I was like, this is really cool. And so, whereas a lot of DJs would start out and, you're doing house parties and stuff like that. I was doing 60th high school reunions because, like, all the parents saw me there.
Wild.
They were like, "Oh, we want you to DJ for us." And so, I was DJing for grown people at 12, 13 years old,
Wow. Okay. And then I know you was with a radio station. Are you still with them? Or how did it lead to that? What was that journey like?
So radio. Yeah. 2012. I was DJing. Well, I was one of the resident DJs at Rehab, which is a nightclub.
Okay.
Was a nightclub in Omaha.
Yeah, Rehab.
Yeah. And so I was 22 years old, and the owner, Tommy, came up to the 3 resident DJs, myself, DJ Jab, and DJ E. Brown. They were like, "Hey, we have a celebrity coming in tonight. We want all 3 of y'all to come and DJ. Like, we're going to throw a big party." And the celebrity was Hot Boy.
Wow.
And so all 3 of us were there, and I'm like, I was like, this is an opportunity, bro. Man. I'm like, and I knew because I knew him as a DJ. I only knew him as a DJ on the radio, but I was like, he's an old school DJ. He's going to want to be like, he's gonna want to see the turntable list on a DJ, not the DJ that's just gonna play the bangers. He's gonna want to. What's gonna stick out to him is gonna be the DJ that's gonna play the things that the crowd didn't know they wanted to hear. And so I brought out my Technique 1200s and my Rain mixer because I'm like, I'm gonna throw this party old school and like I'm gonna rock the mic and everything else. And so, you know, all of us played our set that evening, and you know, he came up to us at the end of the night. He's like, "Y'all did y'all thing, but who was that mother that was on the turntables and on the microphone?" He was like, "You killed that man." And so, and I was like, he was like, "Let's chop it up, you know, take my number down and everything."
Dang.
And I was like, I saw the opportunity. I was like, if I could get in, I'm 22 years old, like I'm a little kid, really, you know. If I can get in with Hot Boy right now, and so I hit him up, and he brought me up to the studio, and it's crazy because like when something happens in your life and you're like, you see an opportunity and then like the door starts to open, you're like, I want this to happen now. And then if it doesn't happen now, you get discouraged, right?
Yeah.
So I hit him up and I didn't hear anything back for like 2 weeks. I hit him up again. He was like, "My bad, man, my bad, bro." I was hurt because I'm like, dude, this could be something. Like I'm about to be able to hang out with Hot Boy and everything. And so finally he hit me back and invited me up to the studio, showed me around, and then it was probably 2 months later. It was his birthday, and it was on a Friday evening, and I actually had a wedding that night. And he hit me up and was like, "Yo, Tay, I need you to come and DJ the Rush Hour." And I'm like,
Gosh.
how do I gotta make this happen. I gotta make this happen.
That's right.
I threw on a 3-hour set of background music at this wedding because I'm like, by the time guests are gonna get here, it'll be 6:30. The Rush Hour is gonna end at 6. So I'll have 30 minutes to get back here before guests arrive, and the music's already gonna be going. I'm like, I got you. So I grabbed my turntables, head up to the radio station, and I go in there, and I'm telling you, bro, because I didn't know how to DJ radio. I knew how to DJ at a nightclub, and I treated that show like it was we were at the club that night, bro. And he got done, and he was like, "Oh, so that's how you gonna do it? That's how you gonna come and do your first Rush Hour?" And after that, you know, I mean, I got to post on Facebook, you know, to my friends and everything. Like I'm DJing on the radio, and so I will say that was my first opportunity to grab like some fandom, if you so. It was my first opportunity to like show people and develop a following. And I had the opportunity at a very young age to do that, to have some kind of influence.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's how radio got started,
Hey,
man.
man, there's just a lot
That's
there
amazing.
that you said, man. It's like just seizing the opportunity, but just so that you could take advantage of that opportunity, you had to be prepared.
For sure.
Like, talk about that a little bit. Like, how did you get yourself in position to be able to take advantage of that opportunity?
Yeah. So, like I said, you know, I took DJing very serious. I always, like anything that I do, I'm like, I want to know everything I can about whatever it is. You know, I become like infatuated with it. And so I was like all the time practicing. I used to go home and practice probably more than I should have. Just because I'm like, I want to be the best. I want people to be like, if we're talking about a DJ, then the only person we need to talk about is Tay. If we're going to throw a party, we want to make sure this man is here because he's going to bring this element to the party that nobody else is going to bring. Yeah. And so, and at the time, nobody was really on the microphone. And so that I really made that my niche. I didn't have a whole lot of money to buy, like when I really started DJing, like for like the party crews and stuff like that, like Explicit and No Limit and like all the different crews out there, 100 Proof DJs and everything. Like I was like, I gotta rock the mic harder than everybody else because I don't have the equipment to do all the cool stuff that everybody else is doing. Yeah. And so I would get out there and just pull. I would literally like all the 80s stuff that you were seeing, I would get out there and do it. I would get out there and on the mic and be like, all right, y'all, like I'm gonna take this all the way back to before some of y'all were born. I'm like, I need you to repeat after me. We're gonna party and bush and party, and then scratch right into that song or drop like Biggie on them or something like that, like Hypnotized, and the whole crowd would just erupt. I have pictures of like me out there doing this with them, and that set me apart. So when I was able to afford the money to get the turntables, I'm like, it just opened up a whole nother spectrum to being able to do that, and I was comfortable on the mic. So like when I got on the radio, I'm like, I can get on the mic and talk trash all day with you, you know? Yeah. So yeah, just being able to own my craft, man. I'm like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it all the way, you know?
That's a key. That's a key differentiator right there. Having mastery. It's so easy to say you want to do something, take the next step, and get a little bit of equipment, and then say, "Well, you know, I'm trying to be a DJ," but then actually put the hours in, and then actually seize the opportunity. That's amazing.
Right, and using what you got.
Yeah, and I will say, anything that I've ever done, I look for a mentor. I'm like, who has something that I want?
There you go.
And not necessarily copy their style, but mimic it. How did like you when you see me? Hop was a great MC,
Yeah, for sure.
great DJ, but couldn't nobody touch this man on the microphone. And so I was like, that's what I got from him. Like and I'm not gonna say I'm a better DJ than him, but if it comes to rocking the crowd, I think we would fight hand to hand. Because a lot of our styles are very alike, you know. And so just finding somebody that you can emulate and be like, I want to be better than that person. How can I be better than that person? What are they doing right now? What is their work routine so that I can mimic that, because I can now, and then take it a step further than whatever it was, you know.
That's dope. And I'm sure he would co-sign that too. You know, I'm sure he wants to pass the torch to the next generation and to elevate the art, because there really is an art form. We did a DJ episode last year, where we learned a lot about just what goes into having a proper set of turntables, and people just hear the music at the end of the day. They don't necessarily. There are some people who appreciate the craft. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And then there are some people who just hear the music and they think it's dope. It's like, yo, that was dope. But they don't know why it was dope.
Yeah.
So, I got a lot of respect for that as well.
Yeah. It's crazy, too, what you just said, as far as being able to pass the torch on. He didn't tell me this when I first started, but when he retired from radio, he's like, the reason I brought you along was so that I could pass the torch to somebody else. Man. He's like, I needed to find somebody. I had no idea. I was like, we just cool hanging out. Like, he's just my bro.
That's real. Like, looking for somebody to pass it on. We got to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
Shout out to all the millionaire and billionaire entrepreneurs out there who are looking for somebody to pass the torch to. We're right, it's three of us right here.
Yeah.
There you go.
So you come back from the show. Obviously, at this point, you are a master chef in our eyes, so us common folk.
Thank you.
So how do you get from that experience to where you are today? What was the next step? After you dusted off the avalanche soot.
Yeah. So it was wild, and I thank God for every opportunity. But once again, if somebody saw me and was like, "Hey, you're different. What you did, how you functioned was different than everybody else," and that was Chef Joel Hassanali. He's now the head chef at Pivot Prime and the Salted Edge.
Wow.
And so one of the celebrity chefs that I had to cook for on the show was Sherry Yard, and she owns City Perch in New York City. And Chef Joel, for a while, was the head chef out there. And so she had the dessert round on MasterChef, and that was the round that I won. And he had saw that and reached out to her. He was like, "Hey, I know TV's TV, but like, is this kid the real deal?" And she was like, "If I were you, I would take him under your wing." And so he reached out to me. He was like, "Hey, I'm Chef Joel, here living in Omaha. Would you be interested in collaborating?" And so I was like, "Yeah, man. Like, what do you mean, bro?" Like, what was wild was I had so many people that wanted to collaborate with me, but I was like, the person that's going to want to collaborate with me is going to have more than just the training of being in Omaha. I want to work with a chef that has not just went to culinary school, but has traveled the world and can speak food internationally. So Chef Joel was born and raised in Trinidad. Lived, his more of adult life in New York City, which is a mecca for food. And so I'm like, I love Caribbean cuisine. Love it. And so I'm like, okay, he's telling me this. I'm like, yeah, no, check mark. New York, check mark. He's like, I love French cooking. I'm check mark. He's in Spain, check mark. I'm like, well, he's like, and then he worked at this barbecue spot in Chicago, which was like the #1 barbecue spot. And check mark. I'm like, all right, yeah, this is the guy. This is the exact person I need to be like my sensei. And so we started out just doing events around Omaha. He at the time was the head chef at Best Bison, which was a fast casual restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard of
Okay.
Best Bison.
Yeah. And but I give so much credit to Best Bison because that was my first job in the kitchen. And when I technically didn't even get hired there as to like cook.
Really?
I was just coming around there. I would literally come there and edit videos because I'm like, I wanted the opportunity to be in the kitchen. And I would watch their chef that would work the saute station. And I would just watch him. 6 burners, doing these bowls and everything and just moving in like a symphony. And I'm like, I would just watch him. Like, I could do that. I could do that. I could do that. I could do that. And so Chef Joel, like I said, he didn't hire me. It's like I saw the opportunity.
Yeah.
But like I said, we were doing private events, wine dinners and stuff like that. Nothing restaurant-esque. And one day the delivery driver called out and I was sitting there working on my videos like, Tay, I need you to take delivery. Like, okay, cool. So I started out just doing deliveries for them. And another time, one of their employees called out that worked in the back for prep. And so I was like, dog, I can do prep. Like, I got you. And so I got back there and started doing prep. And I don't know if you guys have ever been in this circumstance, but like when you really care about something and there's people around you that don't care about it, it makes them not care about it anymore and they want you to not care about it with them. And when you don't, they're like, all right, cool, I'm just going to leave you alone and hope that you fail. And so it got to the point where all of them quit. I was the only person back there doing prep for this restaurant. And I just took the opportunity. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. That's fine. I'm going to handle this. I'm going to handle this. And Chef Joel was like, damn, Tay, like I had no, and I didn't have any kitchen experience. Like I've only worked at 3 restaurants my entire life, really.
Wow.
And but I embodied everything and watched their cadence. I'm like, how are y'all getting this done? How is the organization of this? And then my always thing was, how do I make it more efficient? Whatever kitchen that I was working in. And so, and then another time they were like, hey, we need somebody to come up and work the grill station because our grill cook called out. And I'm like, I mean, it's just burgers and Phillies and Reubens. Like, it can't be that hard. So I worked grill station. And then they were like, we need to train somebody for saute. And they couldn't find anybody. And then the sous chef, Troy, shout out Troy Brown, Chicken Man. He was like, Tay, I need you to work saute. And I was like, okay. I've never worked saute before. He was like, you'll be fine. I'm like, okay, cool. And the gentleman that I had working there with me, Chef Chris Blaze, as much as I couldn't stand working with this man, he was always on my ass, but he wanted perfection, and that's what he demanded. He sucked. I ain't gonna lie. He was not great at his job but from anybody else, he didn't hold himself really to that standard. But from me and anybody else, he wanted perfection, and like we bumped heads because I'm like, you don't. How are you? This is your example,
right?
But you don't do this, But he wanted perfection from me, and so it just pushed me to be great at saute. And so I got trained very quick in the kitchen. And then like I'm telling you, like I don't even think I was on payroll for half the time that I worked there because it was just me there, And then from there, Chef Joel opened the Salted Edge and was like, you coming out here with me? I'm like, oh, yeah, of course. And so we did that, and then that was what it was.
And that place is off the charts for anybody who has not been yet.
It feels like make it out there, but I
feels like you are out of town. Let me tell you, man.
And that's the thing. And that's the thing about him as a chef.
Yeah,
he cooks internationally. His restaurant is not just, hey, we live in Omaha, Nebraska, and so we serve Omaha, Nebraska style steak dishes or chicken dishes. Like, I'm a cook you a whole red snapper and set it on your plate with this beautiful consomme and this rice pilaf or whatever that he makes with it. And so you get that out of town experience in Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Just when you were just talking about that journey, you're talking about all the different positions. There's a hierarchy to those. Like, speak to that a little bit, like where you started and then being able to get the opportunity to get invited to be a chef at the Salted Edge.
So technically, and they're gonna hate this. Technically, I was never a chef at the Salted Edge. Okay. I got hired as a prep cook. Okay. But as I stated, I've always want to function at my highest capacity. So whereas I could have been a chef, the hierarchy you're speaking of, the people that were hired as, the sous chefs and everything had years in the kitchen. Okay. Could I outperform them? Yes. But you can't take somebody that has only worked at one restaurant and say, you're the sous chef. because you have no respect. You have no years and in the kitchen to say you're able and qualified for this position. You know, as my skill set was, my years weren't. And so, I was hired as a line cook, or as a prep cook, but I would get in and I do prep for the restaurant, get done with prep, cook family meal for the restaurant. Family meal is basically what you cook for all the employees before the shift starts, and then have to go set up saute and then work saute through the evening. And then wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go set up the restaurant for brunch, and then work through brunch, and then work through dinner service, and then go home. So as I did function as a chef, I was technically only a line cook, and that being, because I did not have the years of experience.
Right on.
Yeah.
I guess it makes some sense, right? You're feeding people. It's not, you know what I mean? So there are some standards, right, that they high standards that they require, especially with all the regulation that goes into public consumption. So so you're in the Salted Edge. You're cooking a variety of different things, and you kind of spoke to that earlier, that you have a wide palette of things that you can cook. What do you like to? What is your favorite thing to do? Is it the presentation? Is it and I'm struggling for words here because I'm not a chef, but is it the glaze? Is it like what are those things that is like chef's kiss for you?
I like seeing the base work that you put into a dish, and you still being able to see and identify, like, so I'll say mashed potatoes. A garlic puree goes into our mashed potatoes, and if you don't roast the garlic puree enough to where the garlic starts to caramelize, it doesn't. You'll miss that flavor dynamic in the mashed potatoes. So you can tell, like you'll taste the mashed potatoes before service, and like, oh, this person or whoever made the garlic puree didn't roast the garlic long enough to really get the bold flavor that you'll get from the roasted garlic. So that's my favorite part, and I would say. Yeah. And I was actually talking to somebody earlier today. Roasting garlic is probably my favorite thing in the kitchen because of how much comes from it. You get your roasted garlic puree, which is really, it's called garlic confit. Confiting is when you cook anything in oil. And so, and cook it in the oven at a lower temperature till it's done cooking, or as you would say, braising or confiting. And so, you get that, and then you get this beautiful roasted garlic oil, which you can put on anything. I mean, you can put it on a salad. You could use it to make garlic bread. You could use it to garnish a dish, or literally anything. And then you can use it to make different dressings along with the garlic puree. You can use the garlic puree in Alfredo. A lot of people, use granulated garlic. But you can put, and that's the other thing, when you can put something in a dish and have people tasting it, but they can't find it and they can't see it, and it just creates this euphoric, like, I know it's there, but I can't, my five senses can't, or my four senses can't, see it, smell it, but I can taste it,
Yeah.
I can't hear it, obviously, but yeah. So
Maybe you can. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a really amazing perspective, though, because that's what really separates, like, someone just. You can have all the ingredients, right? You can put all the stuff in there, but if it's not prepared the way that you're describing, I'm getting hungry just thinking about your thought process. It's like, where are the samples? That's what I want. Where are the samples?
I was cooking. I was actually making some Alfredo before I got here, so that's why I'm dressed like this. I didn't just show up to wear this and for a prop. Like I have a dinner. I've got to go drop some food off to afterwards. So
Right on.
Super dope.
All right, man. So DJing, chef, was on Top Chef, you're a content creator too.
Yes, sir.
So you do food reviews, man. So when did that start? When were you like, man, this is something I want to do, or something I need to do?
So it started out probably 2017, 2018, when birria tacos were huge in LA. Everybody was making them in LA. It hadn't hit Omaha yet, but I was seeing all these food content creators or whatever out in LA, you know, showing off this food. And I'm like, man. First, I was like, I didn't even think about doing the content, but I was like, somebody needs to make birria in Omaha. And so I'm like, me and my dog Ivan Alvarez were like, we should do birria and everything else. And I believe
DJ.
it was.
Shout out Ivan Alvarez.
Yeah, that's my bro right there, man. And so I think it was Astilia Jalisco were the first ones in Omaha, so-called. Birria El Chan has been doing birria in Omaha for years. Okay. But Astilia Jalisco was the first ones to like blow it up publicly on the internet, you know? Okay. So everybody went over there and went crazy over this. Okay. But then from there, I was watching just people do food vlogs and like just showing off different restaurants. And I'm like, dang, that would be cool. I would love to, you know, have the opportunity to do video for restaurants and everything. And then 2020 happened and I stopped doing radio. Obviously couldn't DJ. And so I was door dashing. And one day I went and bought a GoPro from Pawn Shop. Okay. And just put it up in the car and was driving around just recording myself. Because I was bored, bro. I was like, I don't have anything that I used to do anymore. So I'm like, what do I do right now? And so one day my daughter and we were out and I had made up this, I was like, oh, you know, this would be cool content to record. And we made this treasure map. And so we basically recorded our whole experience. And during that experience, I was like, you know, where's our treasure map going to next? And she was like, we're supposed to go get food. And I recorded us eating in the car and, you know, the conversation and everything. I was like, well, this was probably the best part of the whole thing.
Like, bing, bing, bing.
Yeah. And so I'm like, man, you know what? Maybe I should start doing food reviews.
Hey.
And so I started following Dame Drops. He was like my first influence in the food. And big personality, big dude, funny. But his reviews were so big.
Okay.
You know, he made McDonald's food look great. I can't tell you how many times he would review a new item off of a chain restaurant. And that was his thing. He reviewed items off of chain restaurants, and people would go and eat them. And so I was like, nah, I don't want to do chain restaurants. I want to do local restaurants. And so I went, and I was like, I wanted to start at Cali Taco, and I still haven't gone to do this review.
Cali Taco, solid.
And but they had fell off. They had fell off at one point in time, and that's a whole nother story I talk about. But I was like, I kept on going back because I'm like, y'all were so great. Like, I really hope they find their mojo again, and they did. And so, But anyways, and so I did the review or whatever in my car, and I was like, man, but I'm still not every single other food reviewer that does a food review in their car. Mm-hmm. How do I make this different? And so my next idea was, why don't I invite other people? And instead of the food review being about me, it's more of like, it's more about them and what they enjoy. And it's their chance to be the food reviewer. And like, this was right after MasterChef. And so I'm like, I can now say I know good food, you know?
Mm-hmm. For real.
And so I'm like, I'm going to pick up random people. When I tell you it's so random, people said, oh, there's a vetting process. No, I met my friend, one of my coolest friends now, Corday. I was at Walmart in the checkout one time, and he was like, hey, man, you the guy to be doing the food reviews.
Hey.
Like, yeah, and he was like, I got this spot we should go and check out. I picked him up 2 days later, and we went over to do a review at this spot. And so, like, and I tell you, it's at random. And, like, I will pick anybody up to go do a food review because it's, like, my opportunity to connect with people in the community. And then, like, I was stating off camera, I was like, I want to give people the opportunity to highlight themselves. Like, I've had people that cut grass. I'm like, let me tag you. Let me help promote your business through my platform and through my social media outlet. And so like, and I try to do everything as local as possible. Like my wife makes candles here in Omaha, and I give a candle to all my guest writers with me.
That's dope.
Shout out my bro Lightpole. He does all the beats for my videos.
Shout out Lightpole, man.
Man,
yeah.
Super producer. Let's just call him what he is.
Yeah, no, for real, the super producer,
Let's call him what
LP,
he
man.
is.
I just did an episode with them. The second one I actually did with them, and I give Lightpole his flowers anytime I can. And what's wild is how even LP and I met during 2020 when I got hired at Dayton Freight, and it's a big packing company, so we were driving forklifts. And he came in, and we just clicked. We started talking, and I'm not somebody to go around bragging about anything I've ever done. Like I just like it's cool. Like I love it, but it's not me. And he one day he was talking to somebody else, I believe, and he was like, I'm working with this dude. He's like, oh no, that's the guy from the radio. And he came up to me and was like, bro, I figured out where I know you from, X, Y, and Z. And he was like, I do music, and he showed me some of his music. He sent me that, and I'll never forget the first song I heard from him. It was he calls it Lisa, and I listened to that song. I just got goosebumps. Like I'm telling you, look at it, bro. And I was like, yo, bro, you are so dope, man. And he was great storyteller, great poet.
Good story.
And I was like, yo, okay, I got this idea. And this is before I had launched Not Just On My Eats. And I was like, I need an intro beat, bro. I don't know what to do. And he was like, I got you. So we went over to the house, and within 5 minutes, he had the first intro to my my podcast done. And yeah.
Oh man, I love it. I have a music background, so just hearing these things is just so fun to me. I love it. No doubt. Okay, so yeah, I mean, there's a lot said there. There's a lot to unpack. I'm just really excited about the next chapter for you. You know what I'm saying? Just from hearing what I've heard, it feels like the stage has been set. But that big thing that you're gonna do, that thing that gets written about in history books, is we're watching it unfold. That's how it feels right now. So yeah, I mean, what does the future kind of look like for you? You've got this beautiful mix of talents that is super unique.
Thank you.
You know, do you see yourself focusing more on the reviews, more on the becoming a chef, opening your own restaurant? What's the next thing for you?
So consulting has really been my next thing. I really want to take everything that I've learned and give it back to people. I'm working with a couple guys in Omaha right now. My homie Denzel, he's opening a chicken wing restaurant on 24th Street.
Oh,
yes,
Yes.
Wing restaurant,
bro. I'm telling you, it's gonna be
okay.
Oh my god, bro!
Finally,
it's gonna be gas. He's gonna do his thing. And then my homie Chef Jeremy, he's got a pop-up that he's working on called the Omelette. And yeah, so I've just been working with them, and I'm like, look, I want to take your idea, and I want to help develop your idea through my experiences in the kitchen, because they're great ideas. And that's been the other thing. I'm like, I'm working with another gentleman, Javi. I'm like, you have, he has a restaurant pass, but he doesn't have a restaurant pass in the kitchen. And so just being able to help individuals that either do have money and a great idea but don't know where to start,
Right.
and or somebody that has already started and then are like, hey, I'm not being as successful as I wanted to be. What could I do through your experience to help make myself better? Whether if it's trimming off things that they don't need on the menu, or making things that they need, putting things on the menu, or creating different sauces, or like different techniques for putting your food together so that you can hire somebody to do it, to where their process that you're teaching them is a little simpler, so that they can grasp it and you don't have to be the one doing everything in your restaurant. So yeah, just being able to consult has been like my next biggest feat right now. Working on getting all my licenses to sell food. I mean, I'll do, some private stuff for like fundraisers or like church events, but like nothing super open to the public, just because I don't ever want the health department, anybody to come and ding me for not having licenses or anything like that.
Okay, so just jumping back for a second, because I got two questions for you based on what you said. First one is, what would you say are two of your favorite restaurant reviews? Like, what would you say, or two of your favorite restaurants?
I just did a late night review at the Cattle Call.
We went there for Valentine's.
Okay. So they have the set menu during the day, but at night they have this late night menu that blew my mind, bro. I mean, my dad had watched the review and he was like, you should try watching the review with no sound. I'm like, what? And I watched it and I was like, oh my God, you can see how great the food is just through my expressions.
Dang, that's crazy.
And,
so you should watch it without sound.
Yeah. It was amazing. And then my second, I'm trying to think who really did it, man.
It could be dessert too. If it,
A dessert.
yeah, either or.
A dessert. Let me think. Who did a dessert that I really enjoyed? Oh, so at the Salted Edge, and I've never done a review on this, but they have this bourbon brown butter cake that they do.
Sold.
Yep,
And-
yep, that's the
Yeah,
one right
that's
there.
sold.
When I tell you, like, even like, and like I told you, like, I'm a process guy. The process that goes into making this is incredible. Like, first off, browning the butter and then infusing the bourbon in the butter is fantastic. Like that was probably one of the best desserts I've ever had. But I'm trying to think of another restaurant that like really, really blew my mind, man. Oh, and I haven't even released this episode yet. I want to say it's called El Arepan.
Okay,
It's over in Bellevue.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. Shout out to my dude Dago. He's a local food reviewer too, and he took me there. And these empanadas, oh my! And I've had a lot of empanadas, like even lately. And this they killed it, bro. They killed. We got the empanadas. We got the arepas. And the Cuban sandwich, and then this passion fruit. I was literally in just such disbelief at how great everything was. Like normally, when you go to a restaurant and get 3 or 4 different things, one item misses just by a little bit.
Yeah.
Nothing missed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nothing missed.
Nothing missed, man.
That's good. So my second question is, and this is just personal opinion.
Yeah.
No More Empty Pots opened up the greenhouse in North Omaha. It's at the Highlander.
Okay.
I know there's always been this kind of food desert in North Omaha, and there's been like this conversation about restaurants and chefs having access to things that they normally couldn't get in Omaha. So what's your reaction to us having like greenhouses and things like that in town as it relates to being able to cook things in Omaha that you wouldn't normally be able to cook?
Yeah. I tell people all the time, actually speaking with a young lady last night that's selling food, I'm like, I love the Philly egg rolls, love them, but how are you gonna make your Philly egg rolls different? Like Devontae, he's owns what is his food truck? Hey, is it Haven Express? Or is it
Haven Express is the name of a food truck, but I can't remember
That's
that
not
gentleman's
his.
name.
Haven, there's
Let me look it. Let me
Yeah,
look it
go
up real
ahead.
fast. I don't want to
Yeah, right.
mispronounce his
I'm
stuff.
butchering. I'm butchering.
Yeah,
Because I've had that a few times.
yeah. I don't want. Man, it's not my stuff. Why you over here misrepresenting my brand?
Somebody else.
Yeah. All right, where's he at? I just did his.
In the meantime,
Pull this up right here.
I want to give a shout out to today's sponsor, the Content Parlor Studio. Content Parlor Studio is available for rent. All the equipment that
Man.
you see today. And what I didn't mention earlier is now you can rent lenses and cameras and take them off location.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. So you could rent this for a wedding. You could rent it for a photo shoot that you want to do downtown.
What lenses do we have available to rent?
We have lenses available. We have the 70 to 200
Nice.
Sony lens. We've got the A7 III full frame camera. Things you normally wouldn't have access to. So tap in with us. Our prices are incredibly affordable. You can rent this studio for as little as $50.
Nice.
You can't beat it.
Yeah,
Nope.
that's love for sure.
Right on.
But yeah, so it was the Haven Express.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
his egg rolls, his Philly egg rolls, and then the cheese sauce he does on the side are different.
Haven Express.
Yes.
That
And
is-
so I just encourage anybody in Omaha, like especially if you're black, because a lot the stereotype for a black restaurant in Omaha is you're gonna do soul food, you're gonna do catfish, and that's what we have in
Fried
North
chicken.
Omaha, or in fried chicken. And so I always encourage chefs. I'm like, okay, but if you're gonna do that, just make it a little bit different. Make it so that you're the only one. You know, I was talking to this young lady last night, and she was like, I'm gonna do Kool-Aid pickles. I'm like, okay, cool, but what are you gonna do with your Kool-Aid pickles to make it different? And like, you can have Kool-Aid pickles on the menu, but like, have an option to do the Kool-Aid pickles with X, Y, and Z. And she was like, well, what's X, Y, and Z? I'm like, why don't you do fried Kool-Aid pickles? I was like, no, nobody's doing fried Kool-Aid pickles, and you're gonna be the first to create a wave of people starting to do that.
Yeah.
She said, well, it takes away from the Kool-Aid taste. I'm like, you didn't let me finish. So what if you took the fried Kool-Aid pickles and instead of just breading them in regular flour, you bread them in a hot Cheeto batter. So you have a hot
And
Cheeto
trendy,
Kool-Aid
relevant.
fried pickle.
Dang.
And then you pair it with some kind of sauce too. I'm like, you would have people losing their damn minds.
Yeah.
But as far as like on the healthier side, with the greenhouse, like we absolutely don't have that in North Omaha. I can't tell you how many times I'm like, dang, a salad would be nice. I don't want to make it though, and I don't want to go to Walmart and get a bag salad. But there are I will say there are a couple people on the north side that do like I believe it's Vegan by Nature, and then what is it? I just shouted her out on my last post. What was it? The Busy Vegan. So like the Busy Vegan.
Yeah. She was at the conference.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Idle Vital, like we do have them, but we need more.
Right on.
We need more.
Man,
That's good.
they're talking about Norma Antipas. They have like a foodpreneur program. They definitely should have you come speak to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you should.
Well, and it's the thing is, like, I only speak from this because I have, as you are trained to cook the things that you grew up with, and everybody's grandma did X, Y, and Z the best. Everybody's saying the exact same thing. So like, I'm not saying I can cook fried chicken better than somebody, but because I know the background of cooking fried chicken and I know how to take fried chicken and use the things that I've learned, I can probably make fried chicken better than most people. And so don't just do what your grandma taught you or what your mom taught you. Take that and be like, okay, but now I'm gonna elevate it because you have all these tools now to make it better.
Yeah, I'll say this before I didn't know that you did food when I had tasted your food at one of the body events. Man, I think it was either the pork or the chicken. I think it was the chicken. I had never tasted chicken like that.
Yeah.
I remember him
did
coming in the office and telling us
did
about it. It's like, but you ain't gonna bring none. You just gonna tell us.
Just gonna come here and talk about it.
We ate it. I can attest to that. Like it was different. I hadn't had it like that. I usually don't even do it because it's sometimes it's dry. People
Right.
just it was just so different. I didn't even know it was chicken. I'll just say that. Yeah. But man, for you there's a pattern, right? You excel at everything you do. And so with that food review, it also led to I saw this partnership you're doing with Omaha Magazine. Talk about that.
So Omaha Magazine, I shout out to people. They've always been like so true to like supporting Omaha and the community. And so they did an article on me right after MasterChef, and I had good conversations with people. I always try to, they say, the Bible says, a good name is better than a fine wine or fine perfume. And so I've always tried to like represent myself and be true to myself. Like I'm showing you appreciation for coming over here and doing this. Like just like y'all hitting me up. I'm like, it means so much to me to be like show my appreciation for what you do. And that's always been my heart. And so that was 4 years ago, I believe. And they had reached out to me 3 months ago. And like, we see what you were doing for the Omaha food lovers, can we sit down and have a conversation? Yeah. And they were like, we're looking to kind of have somebody represent our brand on social media and X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, yeah, like, and they were like, honestly, it's whatever you want to do with it too.
Dang.
And so, I've run around Omaha and find events or, different restaurants and stuff like that, that either on the top Omaha's best or whatever, and I just go and show and highlight them. And
let's find out.
Exactly.
I'm looking. I was like, oh, it's cool. They reshared one of your reviews. I was like, oh no, oh shoot. Yeah. It's like, no, this is a regular deal right here.
And that's the biggest thing. One of the biggest things for me is being able to collaborate with people.
Yeah, that's dope.
They were like, we want you to post your videos on our page.
Man, that's dope.
Share our videos on yours. Like, really make it a collaboration of us working together with you rather than it's just you doing work for us.
Right.
And so, no, the collaboration with them has been fantastic. I honestly, because they put me on the cover.
Yeah.
I didn't know. And maybe they told me, and it just went over my head because I had so much going on.
Yeah.
But I knew they were going to do an article on some of the things that I've done since MasterChef and X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. But yeah, when Tim over there sent me the picture, I was like, this looks like a cover.
Yeah. Like what?
And then
fresh.
thank you, man. And then it clicked. I'm like, oh dang, yo. And so it was incredible, man. I'm like, thank you, thank y'all. Like, I can't tell you how appreciative I am of this opportunity to jump out here and represent our city and be a part of a face of the culinary industry. And like, I hold that to a very high standard, and that's why I tell a lot of people, like, I won't cook for events if you're like we want you to cook how we want you to cook. I'm like, I'm sorry, that's not what I'm here to represent, because I represent how great our culinary industry is in Omaha, and I always want that to be like a staple.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think a key thing for the content creators out there that are watching is carve your own lane.
Yep.
You don't have to have this rigid path to success. And I think that's a big theme of your career is you got DJing, you got culinary, you have content creation, you have some business in there as well. Mm-hmm. So entrepreneurship. So though that mix works for you, and the next person may be a completely different mix. So it's important for content creators to continue to be confident, is what I'm saying, because even, I look at my career and, started off in, automotive and music and finance and all these different things. And it just so happens that all of that stuff kind of fits with what I do now, So shout out to the content creators out there. Any other key questions?
No, I think that's it, man. I think this was a great show. A lot of gems. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? A lot of knowledge dropped.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of my biggest things, man. Speaking off of going out and doing something. If you're an entrepreneur or a content creator, I'm gonna shout out my brother LP again. He's got this song called Jaquan and Jaleesa, and one of the lines in the song is you ain't gotta be just what the word tells you. Imagine if you never heard the word failure.
I like that. I like that joint,
man. And I literally, like, that's how I've lived. I'm like, I try to live like I'm failure's not an option. And if I do fail, I'm gonna get up and keep going, so that I didn't fail, I just learned. I learned a way not to do whatever I was doing.
There you go.
Like, my first episodes of Not Just On Why I Eat are so cringy, bro. Like, the editing is terrible, and like the intro doesn't make sense. I'll never say I failed, but I just learned that, okay, there's a better way to do this, and I got to get up and keep going.
Right? Got to start.
Exactly. You got to start. And don't give up. Don't give up, man. Like, there's one thing that I'll say I really, really gave up on. It was something that I was very passionate about at a younger age, and I was running track. And I remember the exact race, man. It was sophomore year, and it was our meet before state. And I'm like, man, it would be cool to run state as a sophomore. Like, we had no sophomores on our team. I was running state track, and I remember I was running the 800, and I was coming around the last corner, and my mind said, Tay, if you give up now, you're not gonna go to state. My feet, when I tell you, my feet are on fire.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
But I was like, I gave up. I just let it go. I'm like, you do it next year, bro. You want to know something crazy?
What?
I never hit the track again after that.
Oh, wow.
I never ran another race again. And because I gave up. And I remember that feeling, and I constantly, like, it's embedded in me. Like, I never want to feel that feeling of giving up.
Right.
And I'm just like, I can't give up, because I just can't. I never want to feel like that again.
That's deep.
Dope. Yeah. I know what I'm about to do. I'm about to go get me some garlic, some oils, and some LP, some light pole.
There you go.
And start trying to work on my.
There you go. That's all you need.
Trying to work on some oils.
That's all you need, man.
Well, we appreciate you joining the episode today, man. This is So many gems. I mean, we could have stopped 5 minutes in and I would have learned something already. But be sure to check out everything that Tay's doing on social media. He mentioned at the top of the show that you can follow him, with his name, Tay Westberry.
Tay Westberry, yeah. Tay Westberry on basically any platform. I mean, you can literally just Google Tay Westberry and you can find everything. But if you're particular, you can go on, each platform, Omaha Eats or not just Omaha Eats, and find me that way.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for joining, and that's going to do it for this episode of the Content Parlor. We'll see you guys in the next one.